Stop. Imagine you were the only person within a mile.
2 miles. 10. To the best of your knowledge, you are the last person alive. Mary Shelley ponders the same scenario in her book, The Last Man. In 1826, 4 years after her husband's death, she wrote this novel about Lionel Verney, an Englishman who survives the bubonic plague outbreak in the 2070s. The British monarchy has been dissolved, and Turkey battles Greece until the plague begins. Verney helplessly watches as his family and friends die.
Similarly to how Shelley felt as if she was the only person alive out of her friends. The Last Man reflects Shelley's personal experience with grief and a deeper understanding of her relationships with her friends and family.
Shelley's noble friend Lord Byron inspired Lord Raymond in The Last Man. Lord Raymond has traits of a Byronic hero, meaning a melancholy and rebellious young man, distressed by terrible wrong he has committed in the past. He makes decisions based on emotions, especially when he fights alongside the Greeks. Love of the Greek people, appetite for glory, and hatred of the barbarian government stimulated him, just as it did Lord Byron when he fought for the Greeks against the Ottoman Empire. Both lords died in Greece, although Lord Raymond has a warrior's death in a ball of fire.
Lord Raymond has conflicting feelings between his love for Perdita and love of power. I will do my duty by her, be assured. Love, I steel myself against that. Expel it from its towers of strength. Barricade it out.
Even after he marries Perdita, one of Lord Raymond's biggest regrets is his emotional affair with Evadne, the Princess of Greece. Similarly, Lord Byron was infamous for having multiple affairs with different women, including his half-sister. Although Lord Raymond does not stay faithful to Perdita or live to see the end, his polarizing character is reminiscent of Mary Shelley's feeling about Lord Byron. Percy Shelley comes alive in 2 characters in The Last Man, Adrian and his sister Idris. Lionel addresses love by saying, I read your characters in Idris's looks and gestures. I heard your melodious voice echoed by her. He is as enamored with Idris as Shelley was with Percy. When they first met, she was so enthralled by Percy, they eloped from his wife and Mary's home. Lionel talks just as passionately about Adrian as he does about Idris. When they first met, he thinks, his earnest eyes seemed to read my very soul. My heart felt the influence of sweet benignity sink upon it.
Adrian positively redirects Lionel's rage with sensual language instead of suppressing all of his emotions, reflecting how romantic authors like Shelley favored feeling over reason. Lastly, Percy Shelley drowned at 29, and Adrian and Idris die young as well. Their demises leave Shelley and Lionel alone and missing their loved ones, but they also inspired this book in memory of their friends. Grief can be used as a tool of creativity and as well as suffering.
Finally, Shelley writes about herself in the characters of Lionel and Perdita Verney, splitting herself to separate her emotions. She also creates an intimacy between 2 men that necessitates a socially acceptable outlet through marriage to Perdita. We both agreed in loving Adrian. He could dispel the seriousness of Perdita and take the sting from the torturing activity of my nature. Both Verneys adore Adrian, but Lionel's intimate friendship with him most closely reflects Mary and Percy Shelley's romantic feelings. Later, when Lionel writes about death rising from his subterranean vault, girt with power, it reflects how Mary Shelley felt just as lonely when Percy died at sea. Shelley uses Lionel's character to parallel her marriage and express the lonely mourning she felt over losing her husband.
Shelley's The Last Man dramatizes the deaths in her story to express her deep pain over each unfortunate loss. The main characters represent people in her own life. She is Lionel Verney, Percy is Adrian and Idris, and Lord Byron is Lord Raymond. Although the story seemingly takes place in the 2070s, the political and personal conflicts like the Greek War of Independence and Lord Byron's affairs reflect those of the 1800s. This remains relevant as humans will always suffer from grief and want to preserve the good times for future generations.